I just got a bunch of brackets from airslimet.com. Now this here is an upper bag bracket. You can see the uppers are generally where the fitting goes for the air ride, so that one's different than, say, this here's a lower where it just has. So what do I got going on here, eh? I popped off the lower ball joint, popped the spring out, and now I'm just messing with the A-arm. So you can see that's the stock lower A-arm, and I got all this stuff kind of bungee corded to the side, wrapped around into one of these factory holes, so I can kind of play with this here. So now basically when you put an airbag in there, this is just gonna make the lower A-arm raise up, which in turn brings the car down. Now what I'm gonna have to do, it's hard to see, but in here there's some stuff that's in the way, including this bump stop, which is just gonna be in the way of making a bag bracket. So I'm actually gonna cut that out, and I'll show you an example. Here is identical subframe. So you can see here is the bump stop that I was talking about. So in order to make a flat plate that mounts on here, sort of maybe like this, I'm actually gonna have to cut this off and cut off this lip here. Now that lip is there for strength, but I'm going to be using a 1/4 inch bracket here, which will bolt around all the way around here, which will add the same strength back, and that'll also give me a spot to mount my bag. So I'm going to start by cutting this bump stop off and then cutting that lip out also. We're gonna do some cutting. Made a template using this ice cream lid. It's the same size as that. And I put it up on there and I shined a flashlight through, and I was able to find out where it would come in contact with the frame. Transfer that to a paper template, pop the holes, and then I transferred that to the steel piece, and now I'm just going to drill 1/4 inch holes to start off with, and I'll probably use 6 5/16 grade 8 bolts. What I like to do is just take the bags. I usually have a few of them on hand and see whatever fits best. I'll just show you a little example here. This is the Slam SS6. Now if you look at that, that fits in the A-arm pretty good. Okay, so this might be what I use in the front because it fits in the A-arm without having to do extensive mods, versus say this is an SS7. Now this one isn't going to fit in that A-arm and lay out properly because this bag will actually compress and it'll fold down almost to level with this here, so it actually overhangs when you compress it. Now it's the same basic deal here. Here's a D2500 by Airlift. You can see it's basically the same fit as the Slam Specialties bag, very similar again. Alright, so I'm working on mounting these front bags, and one of the more challenging aspects of mounting front bags is usually you can't get or can't really see the top bolt or the bottom bolt, or something's usually not simple. So right in here, all I did was I made a wood template of my bracket that I already made out of steel, but I drilled the holes in it that allows me to mount the bag in it, and I can sort of adjust my positioning. Now you can see on this side it clears this A-arm pretty well, and it's relatively straight. Your bag you want to be perfectly, or as close to perfectly straight compressed as you can. But you go to this side now and you'll notice, see how that bag is pinched? Right in here, it's pinched. That is because it's hitting on the A-arm. So I'll let this thing down and I'll show you. You can see this bottom bracket here is loose. That is because you want to start with one way and work your way the opposite direction. So I could have started with the bottom and worked my way up, but I decided with these holes in this bag being blind, meaning you can't get to them anywhere from the top, it'd be easier to start with the top. And then I have this plate welded on here, or not welded on, bolted on here. So when I get it set where I want it, I can just go on the underside and weld it sort of where I want it. I make it out of wood because it's easier to cut and adjust the holes than it would be in steel in the final bracket. And as well, if I mess this final bracket up, I'd have to remake it and try and line up all these holes again. There's no real trick to this. I wish there was an easy way. Some situations are harder than others, but there's really not much of a trick to it. You just gotta test it until it works, I guess, and make sure the bag clasp is perfectly straight. Make sure it doesn't rub on anything, and you should be good to go. So I tested my wooden template, and you see I made some elongations to these holes so that the bolts would line up so that the bag would be completely straight up and down. So originally I started out drilling a hole right there and right there, and then I realized I had to adjust a little bit, so I kept grinding away until it fit perfectly. And now what I can do, I know where the bolt is all the way on the outside of this hole here and this hole here. So what I can do is I can just take a Sharpie and lay out those holes, and then I know that the bag center to center on the bolt is 1 3/4 inches, so I can confirm that measurement here, and then I can cut my hole for my port. So that just saves me some time, and it makes the finished product look a lot better, because if I were to do this on the metal, the finished product on the metal would look like this, versus now all I have to do is drill 2 perfect holes and it'll line up perfect. Another thing that's handy to have is just a set of these punches, or center punches basically. So this here is a 3/75 or 3/8. So what it does is it fits tightly in your 3/8 drilled hole, and then it allows you to center punch exactly in the center of the hole. Now I use these a lot, makes perfect alignment the easiest and the most possible. So now instead of using a Sharpie, if you have one of these, you can take this, line it up where you know the bolt needs to go on the edge, and then center punch those based on that. Now you can buy these a bunch of different places. You probably could even buy them from Harbor Freight. They don't have to be nothing special. Obviously the better quality ones are gonna last longer, but yeah, good stuff. Start with a small drill bit and work your way up, and then to your final size, it'll give you a cleaner finished hole. You can see that I have these lower bag mounts tacked in here, and this just looks ugly because they're all sort of chopped up to make the bolt fit. But anyways, what I'm going to do now, since I have these out, I'm going to go ahead and clean up all these welds and make this all look nice. And then I'm actually going to plate over this section here, leaving a cutout here. You can see I'm working on a cutout here for a socket to go in to get that one bolt onto the bag. And then otherwise this will be a nice clean section here. Alright, so I got these sheet metal discs welded in there along with this 1 inch tall pipe which a socket fits in to put the bolt in. The front side here looks like this. I'll probably end up filling this little crack in here with some weld and then grind it flat. And then I got this cleaned up here to weld. So it'll sort of be welded all the way around. It's not really going to go anywhere, but that's that. Now you can see I have my race ramps, which are pretty cool. They're a plastic lightweight ramp that actually is made for holding vehicles up. There's a lead up ramp that goes to this, but I'm not using that. You want your bags the most collapsed position possible when you're mocking this all up. So I just have this set on these race ramps, and now I can actually get under here and work. So you can see that there's plenty of room under here to work. I can actually lay under here and figure out what I need to do versus trying to guess with the rear end out of the vehicle. And what I'm gonna actually try and do, you can see the lower A-arm, and I'll show this better once I take it out of the car. And here is the mounts that mount it to the body, or to the frame. But I want the bag mounts to be part of the rear IRS setup. So right here is an arm off the IRS. So what I'm gonna do is actually put my bag mounts in here off of this. So that way this whole assembly can come out as one piece. I don't have to worry about trying to attach it to the frame here and then disconnecting everything to disconnect this IRS if I ever have to. It's just easier if I can mount it to here, get it all tacked up, pull it out, final weld it, and go based off of that. May be kind of hard to see, but up in here I have everything, or my mock-up bags bolted up together, and then the lower bag mount is in there. You can see that pipe and my top plate I have tacked in here in about 8 or 9 different spots on the top side and the back side, everywhere that I could. So now that that's all tacked in there, what I'm going to do is loosen up the bolt that's holding it all together, jack up the axle, which in turn brings the car up, which will in turn lower this control arm so I can get a few more good welds on there. Then I can repeat the same procedure on this side. Now I got the axle back out of the car, and what I'm going to do is make some gussets for this plate. Now I have this plate tacked in here pretty good with no gussets. It's just a 1/4 inch piece of deck plate, but what I'm going to do is gusset back from here back to here. It's about a 6 inch piece with about a 3.5 inch height. all the way back and then up to the up as far as I can go here. Now my OEM frame rail comes right here, so I got to keep that in mind when I make these gussets. And I also obviously have to solid weld all this stuff and then turn this over and solid weld everything. But I'm going to tack in the gussets before I do any more welding. That way it doesn't want to move or flex when I'm doing the heavy welding, because the gusset will hold it into place. I drilled the center of the hole, which I won't be using right here, but it helped me line up everything because I could put one bolt through everything. Then I did the same thing over here. You can see here, it's pretty close to the drive shaft, but it does clear. Now this thing looks fucking badass. Oh my. Dude, I am so fucking pumped. This thing looks fucking sick. Like, look at that. You can barely fit a pop can underneath. Videos don't do it justice. Look at that camber. You can see the camber. Oh man. Dude, this thing looking gnarly. So I put this Mustang IRS underneath the car when my parents were gone for the weekend visiting my grandma in the hospital. Anyways, I figured I'd surprise them with a little sweet preview of the car here, so as soon as they walk in, all they're gonna see is this slammed ass Chevy. And I figured I would give you a reaction of that, so hopefully I can run and turn on my cameras when I hear them pull in.
This is a Chucky Beat production.
What the hell? Hey! You got two different sizes from that side to this side.
I think someone lost something in here. See if I can get her. Fucker. Well, this might be a bitch. Well, this might not be a one-handed job here. Would you look at that? A 1/2-inch extension and a, looks like a 9/16 impact socket. Nice. Wonder how long that's been in there for.
Sweet!
Looks pretty good, huh?
Fucking badass!